So we'll be going over the penalty worksheet for IRS Form 2210. So IRS Form 2210 is the underpayment of estimated tax form. You may be required to complete this tax form if you owe taxes as you're filing your income tax return. To drill down into this, you would go through this little matrix right here, and then you may need to also calculate a penalty depending on the circumstances that happen. So just because you file Form 2210 doesn't mean you have a penalty. You may need to file this form just to prove that you don't have a penalty. But in this video, we're going to go over the worksheet that does apply in the case that you have a tax penalty and you're required to calculate it. So if you're using tax software, this is all done for you, but this was a special request from one of our listeners. So I wanted to put together this video to go over the concepts. To make things more clear, we've applied the same dollar amount of underpayment for each of these tax periods, and the date and payment of those happens to be exactly 30 days after the end of that period. The one exception being the January 15th to February 15th, that's 31 days. So we'll get to that. But it is important to understand how these calculations work so that you can then apply them, or at least understand how they're applied when calculating your tax return. So real quick, basically there are 4 different rate periods, and then you calculate different underpayments across each period. So for example, the first rate period is the one that starts from April 16th, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. So that is the first date of a due payment. And then so for example, we actually would go, here's the start date of this penalty. That's when that first estimated tax is due. And we paid it in May 15th of 2024. So that's 30 days later. And then this is the formula we would use to calculate how much you owe for this period only. So for the first quarterly payment, we paid it 30 days late. We're going to take that 30 days, divide it by 366, multiply it by the $1,000 underpayment, and then multiply all of that by 0.08. So if you need assistance in determining the number of days, there is kind of a neat little, not really neat, but it is a calendar that you can use to determine that. So our dates in the first table were May 15th and April 15th. So if it was due on April 15th, but we didn't pay it until May 15th, there are 2 different numbers here. We simply would look up the May 15th number, which is 30. We would look up the April 15th number, which is 0. We subtract the 0 from the 30, and that's how we arrive at 30 days for this chart. So if you do use this, it is important to understand that you need to pay attention to this line right here. So for example, the amount that the line one, the date that this was paid was May 15th, but in column B, this amount is actually July 15th. We are going to take the number of days from the end of this until the end of the month, June 30th, because that's what this line right here says. It is tempting to go ahead and just say, all right, June 30th to July 30th, let's go ahead and put all of that information in one line. But as we'll see when we get further into the worksheet, why that will not work. So For this first rate period, we've got 15 days until the end of the period. This was still outstanding at the end of that. So we do all of the math here and we get $3.28. Now in rate period 2, we still have not paid this, and we've got another 15 days where this is outstanding. So now in this case, we're going to take that 15 days and we're going to apply it from basically the end of June through the date that this was paid, not necessarily September 30th, 2024, but the date that this was paid, which was July 15th. So we come up with the same math. We put that into the formula here, and we arrive at $3.28. But now we have this other payment that should have been paid on September 15th. It was not paid. So we're going to calculate the number of days between September 15th and the end of the month. And that happens to be 15 days according to that worksheet. We get $3.28. Notice that in this first column, we don't have any underpayment, but that's because we paid everything well in advance. So we paid it before this June 30th date, so there's no penalty for that first quarter. Now we move into rate period 3. At this point, we've paid off the first quarter, we've paid off the second quarter. So the only penalty that's outstanding right here is the 15 days between the end of September and when we actually paid that. And again, we've got 15 days, $3.28, and we're going to put that right here. And of course, because we've paid these 2 previous quarters off, we don't have anything in here. The final rate period is from January 1st, 2025 to April 15th, 2025. So there's a slightly different calculation. A couple of things have changed. So first, this number of days on line 12 went from 366, that was up here, to 365 because we're now out of a leap year. So 2024 being a leap year, that was the formula up here. And then we're also applying a different penalty rate here. So we're going to multiply this by 0.07 instead of 0.08. So when we go from the date that we actually paid this, which is 2/15/25, we paid it a month later. Again, you can go into December or January, February, March, and April of 2025 in this instruction, and we go from the 15th, which is 275 days, to February 15th, which is 306 days. You take that difference, and that's 31 days. So we put that in here, and then we multiply that by all of this here, and we get $5.95. So the penalty is simply all of the amounts on lines 4, 7, 10, and 13. So when you add these amounts and these amounts, this amount and this amount, we arrive at $25.63. So you can use this in the worksheet, but it doesn't really do any good here. This is the amount that you would need to put on line 19 all the way back here. So what is it? 25.63. Your tax software will probably round this up to $26. That would also go on your Form 1040 on line 38. So your Form 1040, 1040 SR, or 1040 NR. And this would be your underpayment penalty. So that's how you complete the calculation for the penalties. Again, if you're using tax software, it's going to eliminate any math errors that you can obviously see might be present here. Even one math error somewhere, whether it's the number of days, whether it's the wrong percentage, whether it's the wrong number of days in the divisor, all of those can trip you up. So one reason why the IRS really strongly encourages using tax software and electronic filing is to minimize the amount of math errors on a tax return. But this worksheet is here. Hopefully you kind of understand the concept behind this. But if you don't, please feel free to ask any questions in the comments section. So we'll put links in the show notes to the other resources we've created on IRS Form 2210. We've got a walkthrough on the Schedule AI worksheet as well as the rest of the tax form. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.